Hello and welcome to another part of the tutorial. I'm drawing this male red cardinal on watercolour paper with coloured pencils. I've listed the materials used in the description, so you'll find all the pencils and materials used down there. The line drawing, if you don't want to draw your own cardinal, you'll find the line drawing over on my Patreon site. I hope you enjoy this part of the tutorial and let's get started. I'm going to take my kneadable eraser and dab out some of these tail feathers. I'm going to come down onto this tail. So just like before, I'm going to go in with the light flesh 10%. And take out these pencil lines because they just need to be taken out a little bit more. So I'm just using my Tombow to just knock them back a little bit, really. Down the side of this tail. Just keeping a nice neat edge on the branch. Obviously we need a nice neat edge up against that branch. I'm just getting some nice base layering. I'm going to go into this area, so I'm just going to do this area up the top here, and I'm going to go into this area with a bit of the burnt ochre 10% over the top of this light flesh to just create this peachy pinky colour again. And then I'm going to come around this bit with that dark chrome yellow. Look at that lovely brightness underneath. And also then the dark cadmium orange. I'm going to come around with this dark cadmium orange under here. And just bring that pencil down. What I want to do from there, this is really quite sort of orange under here. So I want to go back in, before I go in with the red, I want to go in with the next darkness of orange that I had. That was the light cadmium red that I had. And if you don't have two oranges, then just go back in with another layer of orange, or you could just go in with your red, depending on sort of what colour of red you've got. If you've got a very orangey red, then you can obviously just go straight in with your red on the top of the base layers. The base layers are good, so we're putting the yellowy colour down in this one because it helps to fill that grain in without letting things get too dark. It's also keeping that lovely sort of bright orange coming through the reds. So that's the reason that we're using the base layers. And then we're going to come in with the red. Bring this down this way, so coming under this wing. Sort of comes around under his tail. And we have another little bit that comes around down here. And I'm going to come in with this Caput Mortuum Violet again and just put a little dark bit under here. Keeping that nice neat edge under that wing. So bring a little bit of dark under there. And just bring in a couple of little bits through under here as well, just not much, just a little bit to put a little bit of a suggestion of some darker bits down here. Tiny little bit. To just bring the eye round with these feathers. Bring them and shape them round. And just put a little bit of feather definition in down here as well, actually. Not much, just a little bit, so that we can see what direction things are going in. I'm going to go in and blend this out again with some of that light flesh, 10%. Just blend that. I want to come down this middle feather here with this chrome yellow. I'm going to get a little bit of this in. And I'm just bringing the yellow over at this angle down this feather, just as I can see the colour sort of running down this feather. I want to go in with the burnt ochre. %, down this side. It's got that lovely pink coming through again that I can see. And again, I'm not looking to put lots of detail in, just the suggestion of these feathers coming down. So I'm going in with this 10% where I can see this lovely sort of pink peach colour. And then I'm going to come in with this orange. So I'm coming in with this dark cadmium orange and I'm bringing it down this feather first, this middle one. Again over at this angle. And I'm just putting it in where I can see these bits of orange in here, these peachy colours. I'm going to come in with the Caput Mortem Violet, which I want to just come in this way round because I want to define some of these feathers now. I want to sort of define the edges of these feathers before I go putting too much colour in. I think it might just make it easier to put some definition in rather than lose the edges of these feathers. So I'm just coming in with a bit of this Caput Mortem Violet in areas so I can see that there's a darker bit coming down here. So I'm just looking for darker bits. And just putting a little bit of definition of the feathers in. As I said, I'm not looking to, get lots and lots of detail in here. I'm not looking to make this absolutely correct. I'm looking to get it as close as I can without spending, a really long time, because you just don't always have a long time if you're creating Christmas cards. And of course this is quite small anyway, so I'm just going up the side of these feathers. Coming down this side with a little bit of texture. And if you didn't have this Caput Mortem Violet, you could still use a brown. You can see that some of these sort of areas are a brown, this definition. It is quite sort of brown. You could use a brown or a very dark, sort of rusty coloured orange. I'm going to go in with the light cadmium red and bring a bit of colour into these sections now. And I can go over this Caput Mortuum violet and blend this a little bit. Just bring this down. And just leaving the little bits of highlights in as well, leaving those, the paper in with the areas where I can see bits of highlights. I can always blend those afterwards. I want to go in with a little bit of that India red that we used earlier and just bring a little bit of the browniness into this area. But again, you could just use brown. This India red has just got a touch more red in the brown. It's quite a reddy brown. And not too dark, sort of like a mid-tone brown. And obviously this tail is quite small, so I mean, just one line could just represent part of the feathers. That's how small it is. I'm going to go in again and blend with the burnt ochre 10%. I'm also going to go into this bit up here with the warm grey 5 and put that right up there, and also a bit more of that Caput Mortuum violet right up the side of these feathers here, and darken that down. Going to bring this deep scarlet red into, actually no I'm not, I'm going to go back to the one that we were using. I'm going to go back to the permanent red because I've been using that throughout, so go in with the permanent red. There's very little in it with those two. But I'll stick to the one that I've been using. So you just bring a bit of that red around the edge of these feathers. And just blending that out a little bit, and then I am going to go back and blend that with a little bit of warm grey 1 down the bottom, just a bit more muted down the bottom. On top of that peachy colour, and also just blend it out around here with the warm grey 1 as well. And then into a little bit of the burnt ochre down this side. I'm going to go in with a bit of the white polychromos as well and just bring that down there. And just using that as a blender pen as well, and to brighten. some of the colours. I'm not pressing on harder, I'm just bringing it together a little bit with the white. Just bring a bit of that red back over there. And I think that's it. I think that's all I'm going to do on that tail. Obviously we could, you know, if it was larger, there's a lot more we could get into there. A little bit of definition in there. What I will do is I will take this warm grey 5 and just go into some of these darker little bits. Not much, I don't need to do much, just where these shadows are around here. So we had a shadow, got a shadow here, and just bring a bit of shadow in around here, and just put a little bit of detail on the bottom as well. Okay, I'm going to come into these legs here. I'm in with a warm grey 1. And this little bit up here. A little bit of warm grey 1. And then I'm going to take the coral that I think we've used before and put a bit of coral into this area. Just keep it really nice and light. And a little bit here. I'm going to take a warm grey pencil. This is the warm grey 5 that we've been using throughout. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start to add a little bit of definition down one side, on the underside at the minute. Just start to, so I'm just doing little tiny curve strokes just to give the impression of starting to build up some 3D. I'm starting to create some 3D toes and some 3D leg. Let's bring that round. I'm not going to be able to get much in. And I'm going to do the same up here, and they really are tiny. You're not going to see hardly anything really. I just want to put a little bit of texture in here. So I've just put a little bit of grey in there. I'm going to go in with this Pompeian red, which is it's quite a pinky red. And I'm just going to bring in a little bit of extra colour into this. It is really, really tiny. Such a small area. And up here as well. And I think for me, less is more in these areas here because they are so small. I don't want it to get so that it's sort of getting overpowering and it's just getting too much. So I don't want to put too much pencil in here. I'm going in with this light flesh just to blend this out a little bit. And I'm just using little circular strokes to just bring this together. And then I'm going to come round and just give it a little bit of shape. So I'm just curving it a little bit. And I'm going to go in with a bit of white as well. And just blend it together. Just take out any of the grain, but, you know, leave it really quite sketchy. Not put too much in there at all. I'm going to go in with the dark sepia that we used at the start, and I'm just going to bring a little bit of definition here and there. So I'm bringing a bit of texture over this side. I'm not outlining it, I'm just bringing a bit of texture. And the same up here, and I mean this is even smaller up here. Just going to put a little bit of shadow where the toes separate, where his little claws separate. And that's pretty much all I'm going to put in there, because it really is quite a small area. And this will sort of be toned down even more. This will get toned down even more as we put these branches in. There we go. So I've just put the little legs in. I'm going to put the branches in. Before I do that, I just want to put some little highlights into this eye. Now I've got two ways of doing this. It really depends how you want to go about doing it. So the first thing I could do, if you have a little precision cutter or a craft knife, the first thing I could do is I could take the precision cutter and I could just dab it into tiny little bit in that eye there, and it would have to be the precision cutter. This is so small that the manual pen cutter that I use quite a lot, it's just too big. The blade's too big, so I need the precision cutter. And as I think I've said before, I don't use the precision cutter a lot, but when you need it, it's really, really useful. So yeah, so if you've got one of those, you could just, we've had all the base layers everywhere, so the precision cutter should work quite nicely for you. And also you could then just go around the edge. And I've got to stop talking whilst I do this, because otherwise I'm going to make a mistake, because I just want to go that white edge that we put in, or not the white edge, we put a light edge in, didn't we, around this eye. I'm just going in with little dots to add the white around the eye. So that's one way that we could put that in. And at the same time, now as I'm using this, I'm going to put some little bits of texture into this area. Just going to bring those highlights in a little bit. And also there were some extra little highlights, weren't there, on this area here. I'm just going to put these in. You don't want to, you don't want to press on hard with the slice tool, even when you use the manual pen cutter, but you definitely don't want to press on hard with this, because it's got such a sharp little point on the end that it will very easily sort of go into your paper. But as long as you're light-handed with it, it'll be absolutely fine. So I might as well just bring an extra bit of detail in now I'm using that. So I've just brought an extra little bit of highlight in there, and then what I will do is with these here, I will just pick up a white polychromos and just blend those out a little bit. And soften that down on the edge. So that's one way of creating the highlight in the eye, because this is a tiny, tiny little area. The other way of creating the highlight in the eye is to use a white gel pen. This is a Jelly Roll from Sakura. So the other thing you could do would be to just take a little bit of white gel pen, and I'll just go back over. You can see I'm just dotting it on. You might need the gel pens, if you've not used them for a while, they can get a little bit sort of clumpy on the end. So you may just want to get the flow working on a scrap piece of paper. Before you go down onto your image, just get the flow working on a scrap piece of paper and make sure there's nothing on the end of it. So that's another way that you could add some highlights. So I'll just put a few highlights onto his leg here with that one. Again, I could have used the precision cutter for this as well, just putting a few highlights, but I might as well show you both ways now. So I'm just going to add a couple of dots there to add a few highlights, and of course you could bring a few highlights down the edge of here as well. Again, either the precision cutter or this, whatever you've got and whatever works for you. And if your precision cutter, or if you haven't got a manual pen cutter, or it's not really your thing, then obviously this will work very well. So you could just add a few little highlights like that. That's up to you. And what I'm going to do now, just to finish this off, is to put a light sort of suggestion of the branches. I don't want to put too much detail into these branches. I don't want them to take away from the bird. They are just here to, you know, sort of support the bird and to show the bird sitting in a scene, really, in a Christmas scene. So I'm just taking my kneadable eraser and just dabbing this out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my warm grey one from the Polychromos, and I'm going to do all this in one go. Just get a little bit of base layer down in the direction that the branches are going in. So we've got a little bit coming up here. Nice, neat branches and light pressure, so don't want to put too much pressure on. Just get a nice little dusting. So we've got a bit of a base layer down. I'm going to go over the top of that and just blend that a little bit with a bit of brown ochre 10%. So I want a nice sharp pencil because these branches are really quite thin. And the line drawing for this is actually much bigger. It's over on the fundamental tier of Patreon. So it's over there if you want to sort of get a head start on the drawing and you want to sort of jump straight in. It's on the fundamental line drawing tier. You could have this line drawing, and there are another 10 line drawings that went out this month along with this one. But the line drawing is actually much bigger. They're PDFs, so you can sort of make them as large or as small as you want. You can sort of change the size as you print it. So this one was much bigger. So if you wanted to do a much bigger drawing, if you actually wanted to sort of do this as a picture, a portrait to frame, the techniques that I've used are exactly the same. I've just sort of kept it on a smaller scale so that it fits on this card. But you could obviously use exactly the same techniques, just take you a bit longer obviously to fill it in. Some of the areas would obviously be larger. I'm just blending this out with this brown ochre. 10%. And I'm just using my glassine paper, moving it around now to make sure that I don't get any handprints down on the card, because it would be a shame to make a mess of this now at this stage. And this is why also I'm just using my kneadable eraser. I just break off a little bit. It comes as a much bigger, this is actually 2 different colours put together. You can get lots of different colours, and these are Faber-Castell ones. I like these, but there are other manufacturers that do other ones as well. So, you know, but it's just a kneadable eraser, and then I just pull off little bits of it, which means I can get into small areas, and it means I can keep most of it clean as well. Just use little bits at a time. But I just want to keep that nice and tidy. And then I'm going to take a nice sharp warm grey 4. I haven't used a warm grey 4 in this little drawing yet. I've used a 5 but not a 4. But what I want to do is just with really light pressure, just bring in a little bit of definition to this branch. So I'm just coming on the underside of this branch. Really, really light pressure. There's hardly any pigment going down. Just doing small little strokes. I'm paying attention when it comes to the joints. I'm having a look to see how they're actually going. So this one, for instance, the dark bit comes there and then this one comes underneath it. So I'm just paying attention to how the joints are formed on the tree. Again, I'm looking at this branch and I can see that it sort of goes around like that as it comes round. And then we've obviously got a little bit on this side. And you want to keep this soft. This is why I've gone with a slightly lighter grey. You want to keep it soft because you don't want it to, I don't want there to be like lots of stripes on it. I want to just keep it so that it's just a nice, so it looks like branches but quite diffused. I mean, I can go to little circular motions if that works. And just put a little bit of texture. So this comes out this way. And also this is darker on this side. There's actually 2 branches there. There's the one and then there's this bit that goes underneath. So I'm just going to make this one a little bit darker on the top as it is on the reference photograph. But again, really muted. And this is going to go up and over the foot and the leg. And then I'm just going to carry this up here because there was another branch coming over here, but I didn't want that. I didn't want the branch coming over the face. And I'm just going to put a little bit of texture at the top because obviously my branch is different to how the branch is in the reference photograph. And I'm just using tiny little scribbles. Bring a little bit of texture down here, and then you come up this side. I can't actually see this little bit on the bottom of my reference photograph because I've got all like a toolbar on the computer, so I'm making this bit up. So that's got a little bit of the texture in there. I'm going to go in with a bit of the Bister and just bring a little bit of the Bister on this darker side, or where I can see the darker bits. So not everywhere. Just every now and again I can see some darker bits. And again, I'm still pressing on really, really lightly. I want to press on really lightly because I want there to be a really soft blend between the dark side of the branch and the light side. I don't want there to be sort of lines going up and down these branches. I'll put a little bit of bistre on this one, but I'm not going to put it on this one. This one was lighter. Actually, I do need to put a bit down there, don't I? I just want to go into areas, and so on the lighter side really. I just want to blend using little circular strokes where I can, or sometimes I might just have to sort of come straight down if there's not much room. But I just want to bring a little bit of light into these lighter areas. It's not going to do much, but it's just blending out these lighter areas just a little bit. I'm not looking to put white in, I'm just looking to blend out what's there. Just smooth those out. Then I am going to go in with my warm grey 5 and bring a little bit of darkness in areas. If I've got room to put little curve strokes, I can put little curve strokes, but you know, there isn't much room, so there may not be. Might just have to come down the side with a bit of shadow. Keep it nice and light, nice and blended again. Go into these little, I don't know if they're little buds or little thorns actually. I'm not sure. And you can spend as long or as little time as you want on the branches. Like I say, you know, we've already sort of put the fact that there's a branch in here. We've already done that. You can spend as long or as little as you want on this bit, really. So I'm just going to make this a little bit darker to just distinguish the two areas there, the branch from the foot. And bring this down. And then we've got a bit of shadow in that one under there, so let's put a bit of shadow under there. And again, this is just, I'm going to make this a little bit darker here so that we've got that we can see the difference between the branch and the bird. So I'm just going to define that a little bit. Let's just have one final look around. I think I'm going to call that finished. Yeah, I think I'm really quite pleased with that. I think I could probably just put a little bit more dark on his that crest at the front there. Bring that round a little bit more. But other than that, yeah, I think that's finished. I'm quite pleased with that. It hasn't taken that long, not for coloured pencil, obviously. I don't think it's taken that long. We've gone through a lot of sort of layers. You know, you don't necessarily have to put all those layers down if you wanted to make it a bit quicker, or obviously you could draw him larger and he could take much longer to do. So yeah, I hope you've really enjoyed drawing him with me. I've thoroughly enjoyed drawing him actually. He's going to make a lovely Christmas card, and I really hope that you enjoy drawing them too. Thanks very much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. That's really, really helpful. Lets YouTube know that other people might like to see this video too. And if you're new here or if you haven't subscribed yet, please don't forget to subscribe, because that really supports my channel, and that would be a huge help. So all that's left for me to say is thank you very much. Really hope you've enjoyed drawing in. I've had a lovely time drawing in with you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.